Okay, let's call the meeting to order. Staff, roll call.
Attendance noted.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the regular Planning Commission meeting of April 22nd, approval of the minutes.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, good. This is an opportunity for the citizens to address the commission on any items, and since there isn't many people here, I think there is none, so I'll assume that. Moving on to the public hearings. First item on the agenda is the final development plans and a conditional use permit for the south half of the planned unit development at 6400, 6430 Lindale Avenue. Plans requested to reconstruct a 25,000 square foot grocery store, Lake Winds Natural Foods. Turn it over to staff.
Thank you. In March, the City Council approved the Cornerstone Group's redevelopment plans for the north half of the former Lindale Garden site. That approval is contingent upon the approval of coordinating plans for the redevelopment of the south half by Lake Winds Natural Foods. The proposed grocer is the final piece in the planned redevelopment of this large piece of land, which will also include 151 housing units, 19,000 square feet of additional retail space, and quasi-public amenities adjacent to Richfield Lake. In 2008, the city approved designation of this entire area, the Lakes at Lindale area, as a mixed-use area. This property has been approved for rezoning from Planned General Commercial, which is PC2, to Planned Mixed Use. There is a full discussion of all of the requirements necessary to grant this PUD in your packet. I'm just going to highlight the areas, a few areas. PUDs, the PUD designation provides flexibility in the application of dimensional requirements, so long as developments can be successfully integrated into the neighborhood. PUDs are expected to provide superior design and benefit to the community in exchange for those requested flexibility. I'm going to go over the areas in which variations from standard requirements have been requested. The first three listed in your packet are building height, impervious surface, and usable open space. And I'm sorry, that says usable. Oh, there are two different usable open spaces. Pardon me. The first one, building height. The proposed grocer is 1 story. The minimum requirement in this district is 2. But if you look at the development as a whole, along with Cornerstone's piece with the residential, overall this site meets that requirement. In terms of impervious surface, the co-op site on its own is improving but does not meet requirements. Once again, when looked at as a whole with the Cornerstone Group, the Cornerstone Group's proposal, it will actually exceed city requirements. There's quite a lot of pervious surface in this development. In terms of usable open space, there's a requirement, and that's open space that the public or employees can enjoy, place to be outside. It includes break areas, picnic tables, outdoor eating areas. Right now, this portion of the site has no usable open space. The Lake Winds portion of the site will include a patio for outdoor dining and an employee patio. And once again, with all of the amenities that will be provided on the north half of the site, these requirements are far exceeded as a whole. Windows, blank walls, and the design of the ground floor is the next requirement. All development in the mixed-use districts is required to provide ground floor windows along street facades, parks, plazas, or other public open spaces. Walls within 30 feet of a street or major pedestrian area must devote at least 20% of the ground floor wall area to display areas, windows, or doorways. The east wall of the building, that's the portion of the building facing Lindale, meets this requirement. However, most of the visual interest is clustered near the building entrance. There is a very nice corner entrance to this building. Staff recommends that additional changes be made in order to break up the remainder of the large single color wall. Visual interest could be added through the use of additional windows, display areas, or variations in color and material. And staff recommends that the same treatment be applied to the west side of the building that faces Richfield Lake. In terms of vehicular circulation and parking, code requires that parking drive aisles be located away from the front entrance of the building, and this is a pedestrian safety issue. The proposed building is designed to abut the retail space that will be constructed as part of the adjacent development, and that design will cluster the activity of the combined site in the center of the site and allow the parking to be more peripheral rather than a main focus of the development. The shape of the site and the need for delivery truck access then largely dictate the parking lot design. This situation is not ideal, but given the characteristics of the site, there are a few alternatives. We recommend that the developer be required to at least discuss alternative pavement treatments or other safety measures for the crosswalk areas with staff. Staff is aware that this area needs to be able to handle large delivery trucks, and so there may not be any additional things that we can do, but we would like to continue to discuss that. Additional items of note: in terms of the exterior materials, the proposed plans indicate that a finished precast concrete is the selected material, and we've requested a materials board to facilitate better review of that. It's not that a precast is definitely out as a material. We're just making sure that it's the high quality designed look that we're hoping for in this area. So we'd like to see the material board before that is finally approved. Parking quantity and sharing. There was a parking study that included the entire development site that was reviewed as part of the Cornerstone Group's proposal. And it was tentatively approved as part of that proposal based on what we thought the site design of Lakewinds would be at the time. Now, there have been some minor changes to the Lakewinds site since that time, but the study actually anticipated an excess of 25 parking stalls on Lakewinds portion of the site, and once we reviewed the new proposal, we're actually anticipating 26 stalls, virtually the same, one in the plus column. Standard noise regulations are going to apply, and that includes all deliveries. There are no time restrictions for deliveries in the code. It is based on our noise limits, and those will be enforced as they are throughout the community. And a reciprocal easement agreement related to parking, access, et cetera, has been agreed to by both parties, and that's attached as part of your packet. The applicant is here tonight, as well as a representative from the Cornerstone Group, and staff would be happy to answer any questions as well.
Okay, with that, first of all, any questions of staff? Okay. This is a public hearing, so it's an opportunity for you to address us if you wish and give us some updates if anything's happened. I think especially relative to the two items that they brought up that staff made some recommendations on. It would be nice to have some comments made on that, and if anything else you wish to.
Hi, my name is Dale Woodbeck. I'm the general manager at Lakewinds. And are you talking about the building elevations, the material? We've, well, first of all, moved the entrance to the corners you see in the elevation, which, as Melissa pointed out, breaks up that part of the building. We've also added a non-lighted sign kind of on the north portion of the east wall, but we can certainly work with, we're still waiting for our material boards from Fabcon, the precast supplier, and we're certainly happy to share those material boards with staff once they get the colors where we want them and they're appropriate to produce. On the west side of the building, we've added a trellis structure over that employee patio area, and I think we can work again with staff to try to provide something that gets to mutual agreement on what we're on the aesthetics that we all kind of want to happen. We'll give you a beautiful building. And I don't remember the other one.
The pre-finished cast concrete was one, and the other one's a parking quantity and sharing, I think.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we have a reciprocal agreement with Cornerstone, and I think they're counting on our parking lot when there are events and other happenings there on the site. And certainly with respect to marking the pavement for safety, whether that's with some kind of alternate material or striping or whatever that turns out to be. I mean, we want this to be a safe and everything to be apparent of where the pedestrian traffic is. Particularly, I think Cornerstone, I think, is going to install a bridge to connect to the paved trail around Richfield Lake. And I know we've moved the location of that toward the south end of that parking lot, just for, to put it where it needs to be, and that will certainly be appropriately signed and marked as well.
Okay. Other questions?
7 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily.
Okay.
Although we're a little unsure on Sunday, that might end up being 8 o'clock. But right now, we're talking 7 to 9 daily.
Okay.
Other questions? Dennis?
When do you break ground, or when do you plan on working on this?
The closing date right now is set for August 7th, and we hope to be in a position to break ground as quickly after that as possible. I think the schedule currently is, if successful, if we're successful tonight, it moves to City Council June 11th, and then if it's approved there, there's a process to get the building demolished by Cornerstone, such that we can get the lot split recorded and our final survey done. And if all of that goes according to the schedule that we've got, that's the closing date of August 7th, and then we should be in the grounds really soon after that.
Curiosity question, the elevation that you gave us has yellow all over. Is that what you're anticipating, or?
Yeah, I don't think that's quite the right color. Yellow, you said,
Well,
on the
that's-
building side?
that's-
Right. Our printer colors are not always very accurate.
Sure,
It should be much creamier than what you see.
okay. And same type of mural artwork that you're looking
Yeah,
at?
that's something that gets applied to the inside of the glass.
Okay,
And with the density and size of the dots that let light through, we can control I mean, we ought to be able to see out and more or less see in. But that's what we're anticipating doing, is having a mural of that sort on that south face with the glass.
okay. Will it look like you have depicted here, or do you have something else in mind?
Nope, that's what we've got in mind.
Okay.
The phrase we currently use with a lot of our advertising materials is bringing the farm to you. And that's where this kind of echoes that theme.
Okay.
Other questions?
The charging station that you have noted in your parking lot, do you have some time limit on that? Will that be open or available on a 24-hour basis, or only during the hours of operation of the store?
Yeah, I'm not totally familiar with I mean, I assume it'll be available anytime because it's there. We haven't talked yet about how to set this thing up, if it's gonna be a, pay for time thing, or if it's something that we're gonna subsidize or whatever it is. But I think, yeah, once it's there, it's hard to imagine somebody parking there overnight, I guess. But, yeah, if
Could
it's
happen.
available, it's available. It certainly could happen.
Okay. Bike racks?
Bike racks on in that large outdoor foyer area. There'll be bike racks, a couple of different bike racks there. I think pretty high capacity for that. We're going to have bike racks for employees on the interior of the building, on the west side, kind of in that loading dock receiving area that's depicted in I guess it's the southwest corner of the building.
Anything else? Okay. Anyone else that would like to address any issue, comments? Please step up, state your name, and you can sign things. There's a logbook up there to sign in also, please.
I don't see a logbook, but
Okay.
Sharon Meister,
Oh, there it is right
and I
there.
live on 64th and Harriet. I've got a question for the council about the dates or times that they can be constructing. So it's 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. And as I understand it, that means that at 7 a.m. they're supposed to start warming up their trucks. They're not supposed to be warming them up at 6:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning to start working at 7. I've already lived through this once, so that's why I'm questioning it again. And then, is there any reason why they got to work on Sunday? For the sanity of the neighborhood, we will have no day of the week to sleep in, to enjoy time out in our backyards, to have friends over with any kind of quiet. And I just don't understand why that has to be. And I'd also like to know who from the city is going to keep track of this, because they did not keep track of it for the apartment building that is behind my house. They were starting at 6 o'clock in the morning, they were working till 10 or 11 o'clock at night. Nobody was policing it, and it took us calling the police to get things to stop. And we were retaliated against, and it was unpleasant. And I would like to know that we're not going to live through this again. And you can say it's across the street, well, noise carries. And it would be really nice to know, particularly since we may have a summer, that we could have a day where we could enjoy our backyards without building going on. So, anyway, and I still question the truck delivery area with LA Fitness and the new apartment building, and then the liquor store and the fast food stores that are all within those really a block and a half. You have a whole lot of traffic, and now you're talking about major delivery trucks coming in and out, backing in and out on Lindale Avenue, and I don't think this is being thought through well. I don't know if you need to have a horseshoe where the trucks come in and go out a different way, but that's going to cause chaos, in my own opinion. And I haven't seen, I saw the plans for the exterior of the building the last time I was here, so I don't know if it's changed any, but I still say that I think the architectural plans are really unpleasant. You're talking about Richfield being this sort of hometown flavor and having this downtown that's the hometown, and you've got this dark brick rectangular mass going up again with absolutely no hominess to it whatsoever. And it's a disappointment, no offense, but it's just, I don't think it fits even with your whole idea of keeping Richfield and giving it a hometown feeling. Thank you.
Okay, who would like to address that?
Well,
Go ahead.
I can address just a couple of the comments. The one about the truck traffic and how trucks will enter and exit the site. There is a proposed left turn lane and a cut in the median along Lindale that will allow the grocery truck traffic to turn directly into their site. There will be, they will pull right up to the loading dock, turn, and back into the site. There will be no backing up on Lindale. The trucks can then pull out and exit from that same driveway. So there should be no truck traffic backups on Lindale when the trucks are trying to enter and exit. In terms of the design of the building that I believe you're talking about is the residential building, the dark brick, right? And that one was considered at the last Planning Commission meeting. This one, right now they're talking about some concrete and metal materials and glass, things like that. And those plans are here, and you're welcome to look at them. They're also in that book there. But it is not a dark brick. That is the residential portion. This portion is different.
Yeah, construction schedule, and what did we learn from that first scenario as far as times and Sundays?
I don't know by heart those regulations. They're actually in the city code as opposed to the zoning code. In terms of enforcement, there are pre-construction meetings. We will make sure that the contractors know those rules. Unfortunately, we do see people break those rules, and unfortunately, it often falls to the neighborhood to police those things because we can't be everywhere at once. We will do our very best to make sure that everybody is completely clear about what those regulations are and to enforce them to the best of our ability. It would be a question for probably our city attorney and the city council if we could put in additional restrictions about construction on Sundays, or if the council wanted to change the ordinance to prohibit construction on Sundays. That's a separate question. It's not something that could be put into this, into the PUD.
Okay, so back to the 7 to 9 p.m. type shot. That's a given, right, that we know of?
The 7 to 9 that DL was talking about, those are their operational hours. Those are the times in the grocery store will be open.
Okay.
That's not a construction schedule.
Okay. And did we limit anything on the apartment building across the street as far as, I don't remember we did, but I'm just questioning if there was anything ever in writing. Is that an option, and is there an option that fines could somehow be levied if they were not in concurrence with that?
I believe there is an administrative ticket that can be issued by the community service officers, but I would have to double check on that.
Okay.
And no, we did not put in special limits for the building across the street. They were expected to meet the requirements that are in the code now, which I can look up. I can't find them.
Okay. Could I just ask, just before, sorry, one more thing? Can you address the construction situation and some of the things that you know about it, relative to the Sundays especially, I think is most important to me?
Yeah, I sure can. The contractor will be Stahl Construction, so commercial, industrial contractor. And I don't have any intention of having them work Saturday or Sunday. I mean, I would expect, unless something bizarre happens with the weather where there are delays for whatever things we can't foresee right now, but I think the intention now is that they would be a Monday through Friday, more or less business hours, 7:30 to 3:30, or 8 to 4 or 7 to 4 or something like that. I wouldn't expect that there's going to be anything at all in the evenings, and I can't imagine that they'd work on the weekends, like I say, unless something really gets screwed up with a schedule that we can't know right
Okay.
now.
And do you, are they on a time constraint as far as they have to be done by X date? Is there incentives to them relative to completing by a specific date that would then force them into the Sundays and the overtime, that type of deal? Or what do you normally do when you work with a?
No, it's the characteristic of the contract will be guaranteed maximum price. So that's a particular set of contracts under the American Institute of Architects. They have the whole standard contract set of different types of relationships between owners and contractors, such that so there are no incentives that as you suggested, there'd be nothing like that in the contract. They're guaranteeing that they're going to do the building for a maximum price, hopefully for less. But the time frame that we've worked out is really like a project plan chart that you'd put together for any kind of project, where we're saying here are the key things that have to happen from a design standpoint, from the contractor standpoint, from when we think our fixtures and equipment is going to show up, and when particular things need to happen inside that building. But but no incentives, like you say, for early. I mean, they're telling us a date, but that's I think got sufficient flex in it that will allow them hopefully to be early just by doing it through the normal course of operation.
Okay, and just one last thing. So I guess I get your assurance that you definitely are going to talk to them about this situation that came up this evening, as questions that were brought forth, and that you want to respect that to the utmost.
Noted. Yes, no problem.
Just when do you expect occupancy then? If we start in August, when do you expect to open your doors for business?
May 1st.
Okay, May 1st. So construction will happen all through next winter then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we hope to be enclosed by, dare I say it, winter.
Okay.
So that we can do the indoor work.
Yeah, okay.
And don't have frost and stuff like that to worry
So
about.
the internal stuff, will be done throughout the winter then, so that that won't be quite as much bother to the neighbors.
Once you get
my
inside,
point.
yeah.
So that you can be doing your work inside and be respectful of the neighborhoods around. And okay.
We want to be good neighbors.
I hear you. I'm glad that you're coming.
Good neighbors are good customers.
Absolutely.
Josh, did you have a question?
Actually, I wanted to address the comment. Growing up in a construction family, I guess the devil's in the liquidated damages clause, but I would encourage you to make sure that we keep monitoring construction schedules and whatnot. If you're not getting, you said that there was some sort of retaliation, or at least you felt as though there was retaliation with the Lindale apartments, and that's certainly not a position that I want to hear about that you're in. So I guess I would request that you address those things to city staff and make sure that we're following through on our administrative process. I mean, that's what the staff's here to do, and if it ends up that you have to, call the police to get those sorts of results, I mean, that's sort of the last straw, and I'm optimistic that, Melissa, you can at least note in our comments that the noise was a concern that the planning commission had for what that's worth to the city council. And hopefully they'll address that there, but certainly bring those concerns to the city council meeting on Tuesday, the June something.
11th.
Thank you. And make sure that they are aware that that was a concern that you had when Lindale went up, or had as a result of Lindale going up, and make sure that they're aware of it, because they're the body that can very easily and very readily address those immediate concerns of yours through the limitations of construction schedules, the clarification of the levying of fines, and all of that whatnot. And I assure you that builders, or at least their contractors, their subs and whatnot, are very in tune to, what fines will be levied if things are violated. So.
Well, and it was hard to talk to anyone at City Hall, because when you call City Hall and say you want to talk to somebody about what's going on the construction site, they say, oh, you got to call.
Could you step up to the mic so that the whole audience can hear? Thank you.
It's hard to talk with City Hall when they tell you to call the cops. You call them and say, I need to talk to somebody about this issue, and then they say, well, you just call the police, and they have to go over there and stop them.
And that's what the police force is for. Without a call to the police, we don't necessarily log every single incident, because it's 9 o'clock at night, and hopefully people are not still at work. And we happen to live in a city that has police 24 hours a day, and so that's an easy place to find help at 8, 9 o'clock at night, as opposed to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you're probably not interested in calling the city, because you yourself are probably at work. So that might be your only option, but certainly keep track of these things. Email, phone call, leave voicemails. But late at night, that might be your only option. And I don't know if you've got any other guidance, but I strongly encourage you to bring these concerns to the meeting on the 11th of June.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Chair Jabs, I did find the section in the city code for construction activities, and activities that do not exceed a sound level of 85 decibels can take place any day of the week between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. Anything louder than that cannot take place at all on Sunday, and can operate between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. on weekdays, and 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. on Saturdays. So there should not be excessively noisy things happening on Sundays. And if there is, the police on Sunday especially really are your only option. There just isn't anyone else around to address it. And the thing about the noise complaints is the best way to get them to stop is to call when it is happening, because we can go out and, yeah. And so unfortunately, because of these hour limitations, the police really are going to be a key part of our enforcement here.
Well, I definitely, based on what I heard, I think it's going to be taken care of by the new owner. So I think that's where it's going to go, and I think that makes it a much better situation where we don't have to call police out or anything. Let's work it out beforehand, and if you bring those thoughts up to the construction company, make sure that you voiced our concerns. Okay,
I know that it's not necessarily how it's exactly going to be, but I love the Princeton elms. I've planted several, and I've never had any Dutch elm issues, and I wish the city of Richfield would plant more of them. I miss them.
Thanks, Josh.
Yep, you bet.
Anything else? Questions? Okay. I ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And let's see, any comments?
I'd like to make sure that the whole parking situation, as I brought up before, is really monitored. I trust that all the calculations have been done and so on, but it's obvious if you go over to Menards, we got people parking up and down the street. Clearly their parking lot hasn't quite worked as everybody thought it was going to. We have issues at Pizza Luce on their busy times, and if this is going to be as successful as everybody wants.
Tom, would you talk into the microphone, please?
If this is going to be as successful as it is, and quoting Mr. Stark, gee, we're victims of our own success, there will be parking problems, and I'd like to make sure that that is monitored very well. And if there are issues, that there is some kind of mitigation or resolve to it, especially that it does not impact the neighborhood.
Okay, Dennis?
Just to speak to the parking too, the developer, well, everything looks good, but please do continue to look for parking opportunities if they come about, because you'll want them, I'm certain. And to the city, well, just from a broad overview, it's, okay, so it works on this property, and that's cool, but there's 7 there, there's 5 here, and then there's 3 at the other place, hypothetically. And so what we got to be concerned about is all of a sudden we're up to 20 in the neighborhood that are parking elsewhere. And so we as a community should also look for municipal parking opportunities. I think the ramp is too far away for this area, and I think well, it certainly wouldn't hurt to have more parking opportunities, right? So anyway, I think it's a great plan. Other than that,
Thank you. Anything else? Okay, well, I just want to make one comment. First of all, I really appreciate staff's work on this. I think that from my perspective, to come in here tonight and have really already a pretty good picture of what was going to go on with this and really understanding it a lot better than just having one meeting where we get a bunch of paper and have to kind of deal with it. We've had opportunities great for the Cornerstone Group to kind of carry us through this too. Great partners to really pull it forward and make sure that we're well informed. So when we come in here, we can at least make some decisions that are representative of some sound thought. So I appreciate that. Thanks. With that, I'd like to have a motion.
I move the staff recommendation.
second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you. And good luck. Moving on to item number 2, change in zoning of property from a mixed-use regional to planned unit use. Approval of the site plans for a planned unit development that would allow the construction of a new Honda dealership and a Mitsubishi dealership. Staff.
Thank you. Richfield Bloomington Honda opened in the community in 1986. Since that time, sales at the dealership have increased from approximately 1,000 cars per year to over 2,800 annually. The current dealership is approximately 28,000 square feet, and the dealership has outgrown this space. Earlier this year, Honda purchased a number of properties across the street from their current location. Lemaitrie's Auto Body, USA Baby, and Tires Plus occupied the buildings that have been purchased. Honda is proposing redevelopment of the entire property, and that includes the vacation of Harriet Avenue, which the Planning Commission does not actually consider on its own, into a 2-dealership campus. In addition to Honda sales and service, a Mitsubishi dealer will occupy roughly 1/3 of the property. Future plans include a multi-story parking ramp for additional inventory storage. The proposed plans are substantially similar to those that were presented to the Planning Commission and City Council at a joint work session last month. In 2005, the city adopted an I-494 corridor master plan, which has since been incorporated into the city's comprehensive plan. That plan stressed a mix of walkability, cohesive design, and active use. Due to the size and somewhat unique requirements of a car dealership, the applicant has requested a change in the zoning to a planned unit development district. Planned mixed use is what they're looking for. And as we discussed in the previous application, the PUD districts provide flexibility in the application of dimensional requirements in exchange for superior development and amenities for the community. Once again, there are a number of different sets of review criteria that apply to this proposal, and a full discussion is included in your packet. I'm just going to go over the variations from standard requirements that are proposed. In terms of use, the mixed-use districts do allow auto rental as an accessory to hotel and office uses, but that is the only accessory, or it's only allowed as an accessory to those uses. Honda is proposing to include a small accessory auto rental business that would primarily serve Honda and Mitsubishi service customers. Now, staff believes that this is substantially similar to what was intended by allowing this as accessory to hotel and office, and therefore would recommend approval, given a couple of conditions related to signage. In terms of building coverage, the multi-story parking ramp, without the multi-story parking ramp, the proposal offers building coverage of only 17% of the site. In the two mixed-use districts that provide for primarily commercial development, the minimum building coverage requirements are 30%, that's in the mixed-use community district, and 50% in the mixed-use regional. Building coverage would increase to an estimated 31% upon construction of the parking ramp. Honda management indicates that they anticipate that parking ramp will be constructed in approximately 2020. Impervious surface and usable open space. The proposed site very slightly decreases impervious surface. It's essentially a wash on this one. The new site will also provide, though, underground infiltration, which will decrease impervious area by an additional 0.6%. While the site will continue to exceed maximum limits slightly, the situation will improve from the existing conditions. Additionally, the green space that they're providing is a significant improvement from what is there on the site. There's the boulevard, which is the vacated Harriet Avenue, which provides a significant amount of green space, benches, sidewalks, shade trees, and they also provide an area for an employee break area. Finally, the parking lot islands will also increase from 4.9% of the parking lot to 6.5%, and we feel that the way those parking islands are designed is a great improvement from what they have on the site now. There are a few setback issues. The proposed buildings exceed the maximum allowable front setback, which is 15 feet in this district. The Mitsubishi building will be set back 25 feet, and Honda is set back approximately 28 feet. Of the existing buildings, the nearest to the road right now is Lametri, and that is set back over 40 feet. The other existing buildings are over 100 feet. So obviously that is a significant improvement. A buffer yard of 15 feet is required to separate auto sales businesses from all adjacent parcels. Pardon me. Honda proposes buffers of 10 to 12 feet, which maintain or expand upon the existing setbacks, and additional landscaping shall be provided to better screen the new dealership. A 15-foot landscape buffer is also required along I-494. If you remember when we adopted that plan, it was the idea of this garden city view from 494, a very attractive view of Richfield. In this area, there's a sound wall. So that if you provided this 15-foot buffer right along the property line, it would essentially be completely blocked by the sound wall. You wouldn't see it. So instead, the applicant has proposed these much larger parking lot islands set a little bit farther back, but then they will be visible from the interstate. For signs, the applicant's proposing 3 pylon signs and permission to construct a 4th should an additional dealership join the proposed campus. Those signs will be, there'll be an RB button, which is the Richfield Bloomington dealership icon. There'll be a Richfield Bloomington Honda sign, and a Mitsubishi sign. And then the 4th one would be if an additional dealership was added. Those signs are proposed to be 35 feet tall. That's the height of the existing sign, but it exceeds the maximum height limit by 8 feet. Plans for the boulevard, again, that's the vacated and redesigned Harriet Avenue, include entry elements at either side of the street. The proposed architectural walls will wrap around benches and include dealership emblems on either side of the bench. The walls are proposed to extend right up to the right-of-way line. While sign requirements state that all aspects of signs must be set back a minimum of 5 feet, the advertising aspect of these elements is minimal. And so long, staff thinks that so long as these walls are set back, they're required 3 feet from the sidewalk to prevent damage from plows, this wouldn't be violating the intent of the ordinance. And finally, lighting. Existing light levels at the Honda dealership exceed 90-foot candles. City code allows for 4-foot candles maximum in open air parking lots. And dealership manager Tim Carter can tell you he went out with the light meter to a number of other dealerships, and he can give you a range of lighting levels. But the proposal reduces the overall light limit significantly. The maximum now would be 14-foot candles, and the light levels adjacent to the neighboring properties do meet the city requirements. So it's just a couple spots in the interior where it exceeds our light levels. Most of the requested code deviations are minor, and they relate specifically to this proposed use or this particular site. Staff feels that the delayed construction of the multi-story parking ramp is really the key item for the Planning Commission and Council to consider here. Staff would recommend that approval of this PUD require that the property owner and local Honda manager meet with city staff annually beginning in 2015 to discuss progress toward a December 31st, 2020 construction deadline. That's for the parking ramp. A PUD amendment and building permit shall be required prior to the construction of the parking ramp. And if a building permit application has not been received by June 1st, 2020, the property owner shall be required to come back before the Planning Commission and Council and either ask for an extension or an amendment to their approved plans. Just a couple additional items. Staff feels that the proposed two-story buildings and their architectural design will really add to the 77th Street and I-494, to the presence on 77th Street, and the 494 landscaping will create a site with improved presence along the expressway as well. The proposal to vacate and redesign Harriet Avenue as a private boulevard is a unique and inviting element that attempts to capture the city's urban hometown image. The estimated cost to develop the campus as proposed is $25 million, and an additional 25 jobs are anticipated as a result of the proposed expansion. The hours of operation will not change. And finally, the estimated completion date, if approved and everything stays on track, would be Mitsubishi would be completed in December of this year, and Honda would be anticipated to be completed in December of next year. That concludes staff's report. Applicant representatives are here tonight, and I'd be happy to answer any questions as well.
Okay, first of all, any questions of staff? Okay. Tim, did you want to address the commission at all on any points? Melissa, I think I got pretty good. Okay. Okay, so just note that this is a public hearing. If there's anyone else that would wish to address anything before us, here's your opportunity. Okay, seeing none.
Move to close public hearing.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Okay, discussion?
Question. Right now, it looks like you've got cars parked right up against the fence. That's not going to continue, or it is going to? How is that going to change? Please.
My name is Tim Carter, General Manager at Richfield Bloomington Honda, and the question was whether we're going to have cars parked along the fence, which right now is MnDOT property. And that's been kind of my whole point of expanding is I have no room. I've outgrown it significantly, so I'm using every square inch to display cars, to put employees, and that type of thing. So that can be anything right now. I'm really not planning on continuing that when I get the new campus put up.
Okay.
Tim, one thing I'd like you just to address, because this is an opportunity before the public, but I think you addressed this in the other meetings. Obviously, the 2020 situation and moving forward towards that plan, I think I'd like to just hear a couple comments relative to your plans and what you've done to make sure that the 2020 actually happens.
Okay, you mean as far as the 2020 parking ramp?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I want to give everybody something that I believe is realistic. I actually have more aggressive plans than that. In my submittal letter to the commission, I mentioned that we have 2 stories of service. Our first story is customer pay, which is you guys coming in doing service with me. This is Jeff Wood, the owner, in front, his daughter Garrett. John Oney is the architect that's helping us with this. Brent Wade is the general manager of the Mitsubishi store, and John Wood is the vice president of Tom Wood Incorporated. So to continue on, the business plan is to take and grow the business right now with that extra capacity that I have in Tires Plus and some bays behind USA Baby. I'm filling them up with all my internal, which is what's going to be on the second floor. And internal is what my new and used car department are paying my service department to pre-deliver new cars when they come in, to do used car reconditioning, to fix dents and dings, windshield repair, all those types of things I consider internal. That's going to occupy the second floor when we first open up. But my plan on that whole 2020 starting today, and I'm hitting record numbers right now on the financial statement because of that extra capacity. I've had the need for extra capacity desperately. So it's there in line waiting for me to get more capacity. So I'm growing, I'm hiring. I said in there I was going to hire 25 people. I'm already 12 and I haven't even put a brick out yet on top of what I had because of that extra capacity across the street. So my plan is when we open in 2015 is to have that train moving so fast that I'm going to push the first floor business is going to push the second floor business out. And I'm going to build, if I can, a first floor service department underneath that parking garage. If I build that parking garage now, I limit my growth capacity. I'm only on 6 acres. We bought this property in 1986. We outgrew that property by 1996. And I've been trying to do what I can to continue to grow the business with what I have. That's why I'm parking out on the fence of MnDOT property. I lost parking along the way. I lost when they put in the bridge. I lost that frontage road. Candlewood had a national decision on letting people use their lot. They kicked me out. I lost the north side parking of what remained of the 77th Street. So I kept getting constricted in my property. So that's the reason why we were real happy to acquire the property across the street. So long answer to your question, but I'm very excited that we got things rolling. And by the time we hit that, I anticipate pushing it out before 2020. I hope to come before the board and to Mr. Wood and say before 2020, I want to build that parking ramp with a first story 40,000 square foot service department that I can share with Mitsubishi.
There was some talk before at the work session that you might put in also a motorcycle dealership. Is that anywhere in the plans? I didn't see anything.
That is no longer in the plans at this point, partly because of my lack of education of the sensitivity of the discussion. And when we had the sketch plan review, the name of that product came out. It got put in the paper. That got out to the other existing dealerships in town and politically created a firestorm.
Oh.
So I take full responsibility for that happening, and so that's still a consideration and a desire. That's why we left the square footage and a potential fourth sign for that to come in.
Okay. Have you had any further discussion with Candlewood? They have not had a representative at the work session. There wasn't anybody, and I don't believe there's anyone here. Is there no issues or problems with them?
I haven't had any discussion. I know Mr. Lemaitre has had some discussions, and there's absolutely no problems from what he's telling me at this point.
And mentioning Lemaitres, when are they beginning their construction? What are they going to do? Is this going to be coinciding with yours?
They have submitted for their building permits now, so their plans are under, they have all their land use approvals, as you know.
Right.
And so now they've submitted for their building permits. We received the new plans last week, so they're under review.
Okay. So you're in contact with them, trying to coordinating whatever?
Yeah, we are currently in a leaseback situation with his facility, and there's an October 1st deadline in there that he needs to pay attention to. So we're working arm in arm with Mr. Lemaitre to get him started as soon as possible, because we're hoping if this process goes well through the city council meeting of June 25th, we hope to start construction very soon after on the Mitsubishi store.
Okay. Down in Bloomington, or Burnsville, I think it is, I noticed another Honda dealership is kind of going up.
Yep, Walser Honda.
And ours is going to be more unique than theirs?
Ours is going to be more unique than any in the country.
Good.
There is not going to be another store like ours that's as tall as ours that has a 2-story facility that's over 100,000 square feet in the country.
Okay. That's a plus.
That's a plus. Other questions? Okay, thanks for your answer. I appreciate that.
You bet. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? If not, I'd ask for a motion.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Motion and a second. Any discussion after that? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carries. Okay. Again, so just to make sure you get due respect. Good job, seriously. And Tim, good job also. Yep. I think again, it is so pleasant to come into these meetings, be prepared, be able to know what we're going to talk about and discuss,
Yeah.
and actually, again, have some forethought as to how we want to work this. I had no reservations this evening at all because I had all the information to me much time before this. So thank you very much, staff, and Tim also. Thanks.
I just wanted to say, I've been involved in economic development activity in this city for several years, very, very active in the last 3 years, and I've been in a lot of meetings that had nothing to do with my dealership, but had to do with economic growth in this city. And this is the first time that I've gotten to sit to go through the process with staff, and I gotta tell you, I am very impressed with staff. I always have been, and I kind of felt bad over some of the examples I've seen in the past where staff didn't get a fair shake, in my opinion, from a lot of people, but now I can tell you, they do everything they can to protect the city. They do everything they can to make sure everything is properly lined up so you can make a very good decision. I'm very impressed with the staff. I just want to make sure they got on record. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Wow, you got to be feeling pretty good.
Damn, it's a good night for me.
This doesn't happen too often.
No, it's gonna go to my head.
Okay.
Shoot, let's be Meg, man.
Yeah,
She can
okay.
take Saturday off, too.
Okay, so thank you very much and good luck with your project.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Item number 3 is the conditional use permit to allow a service restaurant with alcohol at 6519 Nicollet Avenue. Continue public hearing to June 24th. Staff?
Yes, thank you. El Tejeban, which operates actually at the Hub right now, has applied for a conditional use permit to operate a restaurant with alcohol across the street. We've requested a parking study, and that is being taken care of now, so the application is not complete. We anticipate getting that in the next week or so here, and they should be on the June agenda. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, and new business.
You do have to make a motion.
Oh, we have to make a
I'm
motion,
sorry.
sorry. So moved. Yep, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you. Thanks for the reminder. New business. Okay, no new business. Any old business? Okay, none? Boy, moving right along. So liaison reports, Community Service Advisory Commission.
I don't have one.
Okay, no report. City Council, anything? Nothing. Pardon me?
Sorry, no update.
Okay, very good. Housing Redevelopment Authority.
I'm excited to say, I'm excited to say that there are some redevelopments actually occurring on the residential side of things. I know that some of the property on Bloomington Avenue has been moving along quite nicely, and we've got, I think there's a basement in now, but that's moving along quite nicely, and beyond that, I'm now blanking.
That's great, thank you. Richfield School Board,
No update.
no update. Transportation Commission,
No report.
no report. Chamber of Commerce?
No report.
Anything else? Seeing none. City Planners Report.
I do have a couple items to note. First of all, there is going to be a June 11th joint study session with the City Council. That is going to be, I can't remember if I've mentioned this before because this date has moved around so many times. It's to talk about development impediments. The primary focus for community development staff is to talk about parking requirements, but we'll also talk about our fire sprinkler requirements and right-of-way dedication requirements. So it should be an interesting discussion. I hope you can all make it. You will get official notice, but mark your calendars, June 11th, 6 p.m. And also, one other note, if you could do your best to please respond to the emails about whether or not you'll be able to attend the meeting. It requires 5 members of the Planning Commission to ensure a quorum. And it's good to have a quorum because otherwise you really can't vote. So if you could make a note to try and respond to those to Jackie, we would appreciate it. Thank you.
Sounds good. And with that note, thanks for everybody for showing up, so that was good. Next meeting is June 24th. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Have a great week. Thanks.